Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow. I have never done something like this, at least on my channel. I don't know how this is going to go, so please bear with me. This is the first time that I'm going to do something like this because, as everybody probably knows by now, I'm a pretty big wrestling fan. I have watched it pretty much all my life. And I have thought about doing this for quite some time, but I have put it off and and I don't know why. So what is that? Doing something like this where I'm going to try to predict what I think is going to happen at WWE Fastlane. This is the pay-per-view that's going to be this coming Sunday, the 5th. In 2017, it is the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania 33 from Florida. I forget where exactly it's going to be. Anyway, let's get to the card, and please be advised that this is my first time doing this, so I may screw things up in some sort of way, but I think that you guys will be happy and know a little bit about the inner workings of maybe pro wrestling and stuff like that. Please let me know what you thought, and please let me know what I could do to make things better as far as production of this is concerned. Let's first of all get to the kickoff match. Now, this is going to be on the kickoff show. This is going to be the free part of the show. The show is going to be on some pay-per-view systems, but it's going to be on the WWE Network, and they're going to have that free month for those people who haven't subscribed yet. If you subscribe now, you get WrestleMania as well, so it's nothing to lose there. Shilling for the WWE Network when they don't pay me. Anyway, kickoff match is a Cruiserweight tag team match. Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa versus D. Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar. Now, I'm not going to lie, and I don't know too much about the build-up to this. I do know that I think it's Noam Dar that the Brian Kendrick has been quote-unquote mentoring to some extent. If they want to continue to do that sort of storyline, I do believe that they're going to have Kendrick and Dar win. But Rich Swann, I think, has been getting a push lately. So I'm thinking this is not really that much of a big match to put on the kickoff show. And usually the matches they put up on the kickoff show don't have that much of an impact in the grand scheme of things. But I think they also want to make it so you have to watch all of it in order to understand what goes on. So, in that sense, Noam Dar and Brian Kendrick, I'm going to just pick them because I do believe that whole storyline is intriguing and they're probably going to continue to go along that path. So, yeah, there you go. Plus, Brian Kendrick probably going to try to get back into the title picture. They're probably going to put him back at some point with the Cruiserweights, and that's one of the big storylines in the Cruiserweight division right now. Okay, next one on the card, according to WWE.com, Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. This was put together last week on Raw when Stephanie McMahon in the backstage segment said to Sasha, hey, you got to worry about your own match instead of being in the corner of Bayley when she goes and defends her championship against Charlotte in the championship match at Fastlane. Now, I'm going to get to that championship match in just a moment because there's a lot of things that is going to go into that prediction. Then also can go into this prediction as well because there is a kind of theory I'm starting to develop here that has been coming along through the past couple of weeks on Raw, the way they've built this up. So, I'm going to talk about that when I get into the women's championship match. But when you talk about Nia Jax and the push they put her on, this unstoppable woman who has just been plowing through anything that's been put in her way, and that they want to still build her up as this unstoppable woman, she's going to have to do a squash on Sasha Banks. But that's going to be bad for Sasha Banks because they've been kind of building her up as well. So I think that maybe Sasha's going to have some form of attack. It's not going to be a complete squash match, but when the smoke is going to clear, I think Nia Jax is going to have a decisive win. And one of the other reasons I think that's going to be a thing for later on is because of something that I think they've been building up to throughout this whole couple weeks of building up to the rematch between Bayley and Charlotte Flair. But I'm going to get to that when I get to that place in the card layout according to WWE.com. Because the next one up there is the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, who are right now the champions of the club, or the Bullet Club. I don't know what you want to call them. They're part of the AJ Styles Bullet Club thing versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass. You can't teach that. This is going to be kind of hard to predict because they're really pushing the Gallows and Anderson team on Raw right now. But at the same time, Enzo and Cass, are there times right now? Is that the point where you have to give them the title? They've been pretty popular, but they haven't really been in any marquee storylines. The biggest storyline that they've been involved in is Enzo Amore and Rusev and him trying to go after Lana. Him trying to woo Lana, and Rusev just like beats him up. And then his mouth kind of gets him in trouble at some points. He's doing kind of heelish things, even though he's still a face. And Big Cass is just this huge monster. He has such great wrestling ability, but he's not that much of a talker. And of course, he does the ending to their spiel when they come out. Enzo's more of the talker, not much of the wrestler. He doesn't have much technical wrestling ability, not as much Big Cass has. I'm thinking maybe Gallows and Anderson do win, but in a way that makes it to where this feud will continue. I think this is one of those things where you have to continue to feud in some way, where you have to build this up a little bit more than they did. And I think maybe you give Amore and Cass the titles at WrestleMania instead of here at Fastlane. I think you do that here, where Gallows and Anderson win, but not clean. So I'm going to go with Gallows and Anderson on this one, just for the fact that I don't think that they want to have this feud end right now. And it's going to be the same for the Cruiserweight Championship match. Let's talk about this one because Neville and Jack Gallagher, this build-up has been awesome. I really like this build-up. The way that they had the contract signing, the way that that Jack Gallagher's promo on Raw doing that contract signing, those two, they were going back and forth on each other, with Neville being this nasty, here's the thing with Neville. When he first became a heel, when he did his heel turn, everybody was like really worried about, okay, how are they going to make this guy a credible heel? Because usually he's a high flyer. He's known for making these high flying moves, and usually that contributes to being a face because people love those types of moves. Well, they changed his moveset. They changed his attitude. They changed a lot about him to where now he's a very credible heel. He's very good at what he's doing. He's very good at working that microphone and getting heat. He has extremely great mic skills, and he's an extremely great wrestler. He can do it. He can be a heel. He can be a credible heel. But here's Jack Gallagher. He's such an excellent talker as well. Now, granted, I haven't seen that much in the way of wrestling ability quite yet. I know he has a lot to do with that umbrella. That's his main gimmick. But I haven't seen him in a wrestling ring that much. I only seen a couple matches from him, if that, maybe one match. Do you put the title on him now or wait till WrestleMania? And here I think it's the same as what I said with Gallows and Anderson. You keep the titles on them right now, but make them win in a way where the feud continues. Maybe Neville uses the umbrella against Jack Gallagher, his own umbrella against him. And you keep that feud going where, okay, he cheated. Jack Gallagher will get a rematch at WrestleMania, and that's when you make the title change to Jack Gallagher at WrestleMania. Why would you waste that opportunity to keep a good feud going? Now, there's a chance that they could tire out by the time you get WrestleMania, because it's kind of a 5-week build-up to WrestleMania. But I think you keep the title on Neville, at least for right now. Plus, keep in mind that he hasn't been the champion for that long. You want to not play hot potato like you have with the women's title. You don't want to do that often, if at all. Keep the title on Neville at least until WrestleMania. And then once you get to WrestleMania, that's when you can make that huge title change to Gallagher. Have him have his WrestleMania moment. Have him have this huge moment, and everything will be good for Gallagher. And I think that if he continues on this path and he continues getting this push, that he will get that title match at WrestleMania. I think that will be the better chance to put the title onto him. Neville, there's no reason to take the title off of him right now. I think Neville will win this. I think in a way that keeps the feud going. I think that this will be a feud that continues to go, but I also think that I might be wrong with the tag team title match. I'm putting more of a risk by saying the same thing about Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, because is it worth keeping that feud going, or put the titles on Enzo and Cass because of their popularity and just how great of a tag team they are, how much they gel as a tag team? I mean, we haven't seen them as anything but a tag team. Even when they're in singles competition, you see both Enzo and Kaz in the arena at the same time at ringside. One of the two is in the ring, the other is at ringside. You don't usually see them apart in any sort of way unless you have the injury that Enzo suffered back at Payback last year when he got the concussion at the hands of the Vaudevillains. So yeah, I think it's less of a risk to say that Neville's going to win this because I think it's way too early to take the title off of Neville. You want to build him up as more this monster heel, and then he's getting to that point to where he's just like this huge heel that gets so much heel. He does this so well, and Jack Gallagher is this traditional face who talks so well in that British accent. The way that he did that tea and biscuit or whatever it was doing the contract signing was, it just made me just be convinced right then and there that he at least knows how to cut a promo. So yeah, I think this is a feud that can continue to go. This Cruiserweight Championship match, I think that's something that I would like to see more of past Fastlane. This is a feud I would like to see move past Fastlane to WrestleMania. So yeah, keep the title on Neville, but make it in a way that makes the title, or the feud rather, continue on. I've said so much about this. Let's go to Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe. Now, this is probably a lock for Samoa Joe. The reason why is because, one, they haven't pushed Sami Zayn that much. The last time we saw Sami Zayn, as far as I'm aware, is when Kevin Owens squashed him like a bug. But at the same time, Sami Zayn was ambushed by Samoa Joe. They did that whole thing, so Kevin Owens has some help in that regard. But if you want to build up Samoa Joe as this monster guy, they are really building up Samoa Joe as this unstoppable beast. And he was that way in TNA, he was that way in NXT, now he's becoming that way in the WWE and the main roster. You definitely give Samoa Joe Sami Zayn for lunch. You basically do that. And it's not going to look good for Sami Zayn, but they haven't really done that great of a job with pushing Sami Zayn that well. He has his moments, but at the end of the day, I think Samoa Joe is going to win this match because they really want to push Samoa Joe not only as this monster guy, but also as Triple H's bodyguard, lackey of some form, maybe the reformation of the Authority, the way they're going with this. So yeah, I think that is what's going to happen. Samoa Joe is going to win hands down. I have a feeling Sami Zayn might get a few licks of offense, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. I think Samoa Joe gets this. Now to the three biggest matches of the night. I think this is going to be the big three matches. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. Did the WWE paint themselves into a corner with this match? Because, one, Roman Reigns has not had that much of offense in this build-up. It's been all Braun Strowman. Now, the reason why is because they want to build Braun Strowman up as this unstoppable beast. More so than Samoa Joe. More so than any of the other people on the roster. They've so built this up that way. They've so built up Braun Strowman as somebody who, no matter what you try to do, he keeps getting back up as if nothing happened to him. The attack that Roman Reigns tried to do on Raw, where he speared Braun Strowman through the barricade, he got right back up. That's how they're building Braun Strowman up. But at the same time, you're building Roman Reigns up as a guy who's like, I'm not going to back down. I'm going to sign the contract after you beat me for a loop. After you smashed my chest into the turnbuckle so hard that you broke half the ring. You broke the turnbuckle off of the steel post. And I'm still going to get up and sign the contract, which did not really make any sense. There's really no point to that. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. They really build themselves in the corner because we know how they want to build up Roman Reigns. For whatever reason, they still want to really push Roman Reigns down our throats, and they want to push him down our throats as him being a face, when it's obvious that he would be a better heel. He's been obvious that he could be a better heel ever since last year when he did that whole promo after WrestleMania. When he won the championship, he said, I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a good guy, I'm the guy. That convinced me that he can be an excellent heel. He could be what The Rock was, where people hated The Rock back in 1997 because they thought the WWE was pushing him way too hard. And they were saying, Rocky sucks, and then they made him heel, and he cut him loose, and Rocky Maivia became The Rock. And when he went back to being face, guess what happened? Everybody loved him. He became one of the most successful stars in the WWE during that time, during the Attitude Era, during the latter part of the Attitude Era. It was The Rock. It was his show. It was the SmackDown Hotel. It was If You Smell What The Rock Is Cooking. They could be the same thing here. But the problem here is that you have two guys who have really been built up by the WWE as major contenders. Roman Reigns, they can't afford, if they really want to build up Roman Reigns, to be squashed here. They can't make him look weak. They can't make any of these two look weak. They can't make Braun Strowman look weak by having him be beat by Roman Reigns, somebody who has been beat handily in these brawls that they've done, where Braun Strowman's always had the upper hand. All of a sudden Roman Reigns gets the upper hand at the match? Are you kidding me? That's not how it should go. If you're going to make Braun Strowman be the dominant person in this feud, then all of a sudden Roman Reigns becomes Super Roman again. Then you're going to break all logic, which WWE doesn't have much of. But at the end of the day, you have to think that perhaps they're going to find a way to get out of this match. The good thing about it is that there is a way to get out of this match, because there is something about Roman Reigns that we haven't heard much about, which is the rumored match that he's going to go up against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. After that whole elimination thing where Roman Reigns eliminated The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble, we haven't heard from The Undertaker. So a little bit of fancy booking here, in which what I think will happen is that Braun Strowman will have some form of weakness that Roman Reigns, to their credit, has been able to get off of Braun Strowman. They've been allowing Roman Reigns to have some form of offense and have a credible chance of beating Braun Strowman. That's the good thing about this, is that stranger things can happen, but he's about to go for the spear, and then the lights go out, you hear a dong, and then the lights come up, and in Braun Strowman's place is The Undertaker. He beats the holy high hell out of Roman Reigns, and then Braun Strowman comes in and picks up the win, with the referee somehow not seeing a thing about it, not knowing what to do. Now, that might not be a logical thing, but find a way. It's WWE. They can find a way in order to make it work to where the referee doesn't disqualify anybody. Maybe you can disqualify Braun Strowman by having The Undertaker just appear, and then he beats the holy high hell of Roman Reigns. So you get out of this match. You still make both guys look strong, because Braun Strowman might have been able to beat Roman Reigns, but at the same time, the only downside to this is that people will say, oh, he needed The Undertaker to win against Roman Reigns. But at the same time, what happened to Braun Strowman? Did he have any idea that The Undertaker was even there? What happened to put The Undertaker there? You can do a lot of things with that. Now, the next night on Raw, what they could do is have Roman Reigns start a heel turn, which has been kind of talked about by some people saying, hey, he might go heel on this thing, which he should do at some point, because he's been a person who I think would be a great heel. It would help him out immensely. I think he really wants to be a heel. I think he has the chops to become a great heel in the industry. So I think that Braun Strowman is going to win this, but because of a build up to what will become The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If they really want to get that match, they will start the build up here. They will start to where, okay, because Roman Reigns cost The Undertaker his shot at the title for WrestleMania, he's going to cost Roman Reigns a chance to beat one of the biggest guys in the industry, literally right now, in Braun Strowman at Fastlane, and then that they'll clash at WrestleMania, maybe face versus face, or it'll make Roman Reigns a bit of a heel, which again they should do. So I'm going to pick Braun Strowman on the account of that. Now, let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship match, Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. Now, a lot of people have been saying that why would you put the title of Bayley at Raw when we have the inkling that Charlotte's going to win it back at Fastlane, given what they have done with this hot potato with the Women's Championship and the way they push this whole Charlotte Flair being undefeated at pay-per-views when the championship is on the line. Well, let me go back to what I said about Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. I picked Nia Jax to win that. Now, think for a minute about how the announced team on Raw has pushed this whole undefeated streak that Charlotte Flair has had in pay-per-views. And the fact that they've pushed that Bayley has beaten Charlotte 3 times already. 1 is for the championship. And keep in mind that they've now pushed this whole thing where, oh, Sasha Banks and Bayley are best friends, the way Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were. And you saw what happened there during the Festival of Friendship. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Bayley is going to break the streak. I'm going to pick Bayley for this win. Here's the reason why. The build up to WrestleMania, the way that I think they're going to go is Bayley versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, because there is also the rumored heel turn of Sasha Banks. If you want to do this right, the way you do this is by having Bayley do the one thing that Sasha Banks could not do, which is beat Charlotte Flair at her own game for the title at a pay-per-view. Bayley retains instead of giving it back to Charlotte. That will give a bit of jealousy to Sasha Banks, who loses against Nia Jax. So now you have a issue to where, oh, Bayley has done everything that you could not do. Sasha Banks gets very jealous, and then a couple of weeks later, maybe turns on Bayley and then calls her out for the title at WrestleMania. And then the reason why you do that at Mania is because of how great their matches have been in NXT. When they have faced each other in NXT, their matches are awesome. And why not do that at WrestleMania? Why not have that match at WrestleMania? Based upon the fact that Bayley was able to do everything that Sasha Banks could not do. Win the title against Charlotte Flair, and then retain at a pay-per-view to be the one that breaks the streak. And then Sasha Banks like, why can I not do that? And then she turns heel by going after Bayley. Now, here's the other thing that could happen. Charlotte Flair is obviously going to have Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke and Charlotte might have a bit of a feud because of the way they played up Charlotte picking Nia Jax instead of Dana Brooke for her tag team partner last week on Raw. Now, the way that this could go down is that maybe Dana Brooke turns on Charlotte in a way, costs her to lose that match against Bayley. Then Charlotte Flair turns on Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke goes face, and they have a match at WrestleMania. That seems to be a obvious booking potential that you could have. Sasha Banks versus Bayley, that obviously has a great amount of stability as to that having a great match, because they've always had great matches against each other. They've always upped the ante every time they've done a match at NXT against each other. Why not put it at their marquee pay-per-view? And then you have the turn of Dana Brooke versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and you then build up Dana Brooke as a credible face, and you have the women's division of Raw needing a much needed depth perception increase, because right now there's only 3 females who are even in the title picture or even on Raw, which is Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. Maybe Dana Brooke, but she's in the background, and Nia Jax is still being built up in that sense to where now she might become that credible female. And plus, the night after WrestleMania, you might be able to bring up Asuka, you might be able to bring up some other NXT stars. Asuka seems to be the go-to female in NXT right now that might be brought up in that sense. You might be able to do that to give the Raw women's division some more depth that they need, because SmackDown is obviously beating Raw in that sense. SmackDown has Becky Lynch, they have Alexa Bliss, they have Naomi. Naomi's injured right now, so unfortunately she might not count. You have Carmella. You have a good bit of female talent on the SmackDown roster, yet you only have 3 big stars right now on the female division in Raw. So this might change the game here in that match, and I think Bayley's going to retain, because I think that's when you start to pull that whole idea of Sasha being jealous of Bayley, and you start making Stephanie McMahon's words on Raw make a bit more sense when you think about it. With that having been said, let's get to the final match, which is Kevin Owens versus Goldberg. Kevin Owens, the Universal Championship. Goldberg is looking to squash Kevin Owens like a grape if they want to continue his unbeaten streak since coming back to the WWE and being an unstoppable beast. How about that for some repetition? That's been the theme for this. Unstoppable people. Nia Jax, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and now we have Goldberg. Now, the rumored match at WrestleMania is Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the 3rd time, this time for the WWE Universal Championship. And the way this is going, Goldberg is probably going to level Kevin Owens. However, let's play devil's advocate for just a second, because there's a lot of ways that this could go down. We could have Brock Lesnar making second surprise appearance and F5 and Goldberg out of nowhere, Kevin Owens retains the championship. You could do it that way. Also, you could have Kevin Owens surprise everybody, actually have offense against Goldberg to where Brock Lesnar could not do, and then you have Chris Jericho coming out and costing Kevin Owens the title, and that starts that build up to Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for WrestleMania. And then you also have the Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar match. Now, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg is going to happen anyway, regardless of whether or not Goldberg gets the title or not. Whether or not Kevin Owens drops the title, that doesn't matter. They've already scheduled the Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar match for WrestleMania. That's going to happen. I don't think they're going to exactly change that in any sort of way. Unless they decide, hey, we're not going to put the title on Goldberg, but we're going to have the match anyway because it's whatever. I mean, there's two part-timers who are going to go for one of the biggest prizes the WWE has on Raw, which is the Universal Championship match, which, to be quite frank with everybody, every time I see that title in red, it makes me think of strawberry milk. It makes me want to go buy Nesquik strawberry milk because that's what it looks like to me. It has always looked like that, and I don't think anything's going to change my mind about that. But there is a couple of ways, a couple of scenarios which I could see this going down in order to build stuff up for WrestleMania. And there could also be a scenario in which Kevin Owens does retain, which is Brock Lesnar costs Goldberg the championship, and then you have that match. But then why would you have a third match which Goldberg squashes Brock Lesnar? I mean, you had the Survivor Series thing, which I didn't understand why everybody was so upset about. It was a callback to when Goldberg had that undefeated streak in 1998 in WCW, where he just went through everybody, and that was a callback to that. I think people kind of forgot that he had that undefeated streak in WCW, and then, of course, you want to build him up to be this unstoppable beast instead of what they were doing to him in 2003, whatever they were trying to do with him. So it would make sense for this to be for the title at WrestleMania, which basically means I think it's going to go to Goldberg, but the way it will go down is kind of in the air, I think. Or maybe Brock Lesnar comes out and he F5s Kevin Owens, so Goldberg has the title, so he could go after Kevin or Goldberg for the title. There's a lot of ways it could go down. I don't want it to be just an absolute squash match where Goldberg just wastes Kevin Owens. I want there to be some kind of scenario in which you build up other matches heading into WrestleMania. There's a lot of ways you can do this, where you can have Chris Jericho cost Kevin Owens the title and then they continue their feud. Or how about this for a little devil's advocate? How about Chris Jericho comes out and this was a whole charade in the whole thing where Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens was setting up Bill Goldberg and Chris Jericho cost Bill Goldberg the title. But I doubt that's going to happen because they've been wanting to turn Chris Jericho face for a while. So I think that's what's going to happen there, is that Chris Jericho is probably going to cost Kevin Owens the title because Kevin Owens has been on this whole thing saying, oh, people think I'm going to just fall down for Goldberg. That's not going to happen. You're going to be pretty surprised. And I think he's going to have some offense. I think Kevin Owens is going to have some offense. He's going to find a way to bound an offense against Bill Goldberg. It's not going to be an easy task for Goldberg. And then Chris Jericho costs Kevin Owens the title. Does that make Bill Goldberg look weak? I don't think so, because again, we're talking about building up a match to WrestleMania, and with that, you already have a few matches set up for WrestleMania. You have Neville versus Jack Gallagher Part 2 for WrestleMania. You have Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You have Bayley versus Sasha at WrestleMania, and you have Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. And of course, you also have Dana Brooke versus Charlotte Flair, of course, for WrestleMania, and Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, of course, for the title. At least on the Raw side. On the SmackDown side, things are kind of getting a little convoluted with the whole Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt thing that's been going on. Who's actually going to go for the title? Because Randy Orton's like, oh, I'm coming after you, WrestleMania, while he's burning the Wyatt estate and Sister Abigail's remains. Like, what the hell? That's really ominous, but we kind of knew that was going to happen at some point because that was the way that they were playing all this up. So, yeah, that is my predictions for WWE Fastlane. Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar win in their kickoff match. Nia Jax wins, though I think Sasha Banks is going to have a bit of offense in that, but I think Nia Jax, to continue her unstoppable streak, she's going to win against Sasha. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson gonna win, not cleanly, though I'm not completely sure if I want to stick to that or not. I think there are many scenarios in which Enzo Cass could come away with that title, though I don't see that stopping at Fastlane. Neither do I see the Neville versus Jack Gallagher feud ending at Fastlane, though I'm a little bit more comfortable with picking Neville to retain that title at Fastlane than I am with picking Gallows and Anderson to win the title of Fastlane. I'm comfortable with the Samoa Joe pick because of the whole idea that Sami Zayn has not been pushed that well, and Samoa Joe is being built up to be this lackey for Triple H, and because of that, they're going to really build him up really strong. So if you want to do that, you want to keep him on a winning streak. Plus, of course, it's Samoa Joe we're talking about here. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. The WWE painted themselves into such a corner in this match, and they had to get themselves out of that really quickly. Both men cannot be afforded to look weak in this match, but the way out of it is really simple. Get The Undertaker involved, have The Undertaker cost Roman Reigns the chance at beating Braun Strowman, payback for what happened at the Royal Rumble, and then you have that match, and then of course you can do a Reigns heel turn, which should have happened last year. Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. If you really want to do this well, you make Bayley retain the title, beat Charlotte Flair's streak, break the streak, and then Sasha Banks becomes really jealous and then turn Sasha Banks heel on the count of that. Have that match at WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair, Dana Brooke for WrestleMania because Charlotte Flair blames Dana Brooke for the loss or whatever, for whatever reason, goes off, and then they have their match at WrestleMania, which seems to be the go-to thing. And finally, I think Goldberg will win, get that title, though I'm still up in the air about how this could go down, because to be quite honest, this could go down a number of ways. This could have a bunch of different scenarios that could have repercussions for WrestleMania going down the road, and that's how great this is right now. There's a lot of ways you can build these matches. There's a lot of things you can do to these matches if you do it right. And I hope the WWE does it right. I hope the WWE doesn't screw this up in the way. I hope that they do the right thing and make it so where everybody looks strong going into their marquee pay-per-view. This is the last pay-per-view for either brand, for either Raw or SmackDown before WrestleMania. So they really got to start doing that WrestleMania build. They really got to start doing that. And here's where you start doing it. So yeah, there you go. There is my predictions for WWE Fastlane. Please, please, please don't judge me way too hard on this, because this is my first time ever doing one of these things. Please, please, please leave a comment down below about what you thought about my predictions. What are your predictions for WWE Fastlane if you watch it? If you haven't watched it at all, if you've never watched wrestling before, please do me a favor, go and get this network, watch it as well, and maybe you'll have some more things to talk about when you watch. Might be my review of it. I don't know if I'm going to do one like that. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how I feel after the pay-per-view is done, and then who knows? Maybe this will become a thing. I don't know. I apologize if I seem kind of nervous and I'm just rambling on, because again, it's my first time doing this, so I hope I did well. I really hope I did. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening to me ramble on about something I really enjoy watching. My name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.